Did you know that we came this close of getting a World War II Transformers movie, where we were gonna see Megatron make a deal with the Nazis, pretenders infiltrating the government, and the main character that was an Optimus Prime or Bumblebee? Yeah, I know, it's pretty insane, and today we are finally tackling the infamous Transformers Operation Skyfire, a movie that was shut down way early in production, but we actually have quite a bit of concept art about it. And more importantly, we're gonna be looking at the titular character, Skyfire himself. This is part of like my little video series where I talk about forgotten / missing characters, and today's character is no exception. Skyfire, the character, we probably know more about him than 90% of the cut characters I covered in my videos so far. So buckle up because you're about to enter a world of deception, crackpot theories, wild concepts, and crushed dreams. But before we can begin, we have to do our usual. Hey guys, the Firebird is here. It's just me. My brother couldn't be here today because he is chasing Santa down for giving him cold for never actually being here. Oh, and also Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays to all of you. It's about to be Christmas, so might as well say it right now. But anyways, these are the jokes. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them. So anyways, before we go on to talk about the missing character from the TF movie that never was, I want to give a shout out to Craig from The Office for making this Optimus Prime like little artwork here. I want to feature more like little arts and stuff that people do for my Discord server. Link to it will be in the description down below for you guys to check out. It's a fun little community where you guys can find me and talk to me, ask me questions, be up to date with real-time movie updates, and talk about Transformers or your favorite franchises that isn't Transformers like FNAF, Pacific Rim, and so on. Thank you, Craig from The Office, for your artwork. It looks great.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Anyways, let's talk about Transformers Operation Skyfire. Now, I have a track record for covering cut content from the movies. Like, I did this a lot with Rise of the Beast, Last Night, and a bunch of other movies. And I'm surprised it took me this long to finally start talking about Skyfire. Now, granted, Transformers Skyfire, much like Transformers Nights and a bunch of other movies, are movies that were planned to, be released around the time of The Last Night. But because of The Last Night's poor performance, these movies were dropped. And with it, a lot of concepts, characters, and planned storylines. This was around the time Paramount had set up the quote-unquote writer's room in which they were gonna plan out the future of the Transformers cinematic universe. And while we don't know much about the stuff they came up with, we do know that a lot of those concepts were reutilized in The Last Night. For example, Operation Skyfire, which was gonna be set up in World War II, Transformers Nights, which was gonna take place during the, King Arthur era, Transformers Return of the Gods, which supposedly was gonna take place on Earth and in space, and he was gonna deal with Optimus Prime fighting the Quintessons. A Transformers movie set in Victorian times with a steampunk type of aesthetic, where Bumblebee and a new female character were gonna go on adventures. We do know this concept got reused for the Bumblebee movie. Bumblebee and the Island of the Beast, which was gonna add Beast Wars characters. A Transformers movie set in Japan and one set in ancient Rome, and of course the infamous Beast Wars movie, which we actually do have quite a few concepts about. And Operation Skyfire is the movie that arguably has the most concept art out there. Well, has the most released concept that are out there, and I think that's very important because this image I'm showing you right now of the Cult Night movie, we got this from the behind the scenes of Transformers The Last Night. This wasn't publicly released or shown to us. This is a small, screen grab of what we've seen in that footage. That's why the quality is so low for a lot of these images. Today we're gonna be taking a look at the titular Skyfire. It's actually this guy right here. Now there's a concept art poster that they made for the movie, and we see the titular Skyfire here. He's like this green Autobot jet working with the Americans during World War II, and he was gonna team up with a human character in order to fight the Decepticons, who were supposed to be teaming up with the Nazis in this movie, which it sounds like such a weird crack sentence to say out loud in all honesty. For the purposes of this video, we're gonna be mostly talking about the character himself, what he was all about and all that jazz. He transforms into one of those World War II era airplanes, and he was gonna fight this Decepticon Seeker that was going to be like his main rival in the movie. I might make a video about this guy in the future after doing some more research because we know so little about him, but the two of them seem to have a bit of a rivalry going on because we do see this enemy Seeker a lot in the concept art. Also, something I need to make clear is that Skyfire here is not Jetfire. So as some of you guys may know, Skyfire used to be the name that Jetfire had in the original G1 cartoon, but because of copyright reasons, it was changed and the name Skyfire got kinda lost through the years. This character has no relation to Jetfire. At the end of the day, Skyfire is his own entity. He's not supposed to be a younger version of Jetfire. So the whole prospect of Skyfire's movie was that it was gonna tie into that scene we see in The Last Night with Sir Edmund Burton, where he starts talking about how Transformers have been everywhere throughout history. Now a lot of people didn't like that scene because, you know, it really messes with the canon, and I'm not gonna defend it because I also really don't like that scene. I feel like, you know, just intertwining the Transformers history with the humans' history that intimately, it's like, you know, by the point of 2007, everyone should know about the Transformers. If they were that involved in history, I feel like, you know, everyone would just know about them. To me, that never made a lot of sense. But angry rant aside, this whole movie was gonna tie into that scene. In fact, I think we actually do see a bit of Skyfire in The Last Night. This little photograph right here that we see in the movie, and we even see in one of the promotional commercials for the movie, shows us a character that looks eerily similar to Skyfire here. He even seems to have like the same greenish hue as he does in this concept art. Of course, the body's a bit different because supposedly they don't have a CGI model for him just yet, but I mean, it's to be expected. While we don't know much about Skyfire here exactly, we do have a lot of concept art of him, which I'm gonna be sharing on the screen, which pretty much tells us his story, and he's gonna be one of those many Transformers that partook in World War II. At one point, he gets shot down, maybe by his Decepticon rival, or maybe by, I don't know, the Japanese, the Nazis, who knows. We see a bunch of American soldiers trying to help Skyfire and repair him from his damaged state. The Americans repair him and he gets drafted into the American army to help the humans fight their war. Now, we do know that by this point, Bumblebee and at least Hot Rod are part of the American army. They're helping the Americans fight the Nazis. So the American military already has contact with the Autobots. So my guess is that after fighting Skyfire, maybe Bumblebee Hot Rod put up a good word for him and convinced the Americans to let him join in. Details about the movie is pretty scarce, but we do have some info. So apparently, the Nazis try and kidnap Megatron, who at this point he is, you know, in control of the Americans, and transport him back to Europe. Well, I say supposedly because there's a lot of like ifs and maybes and uncertainties, but the point is the Nazis do that, they form an alliance, there's Decepticons working alongside them, and even Pretenders, and I say that with the biggest asterisk possible because we don't know if these are supposed to be Nazi Pretenders or like human enhanced cyborgs. Also, funnily enough, for all channel members and patrons, I recently uploaded an exclusive video going over a similar theory surrounding the Pretenders having taken control over Earth's governments as of The Last Night. It's a pretty wild theory, but it's one of those fun ones. So if you're a channel member or a patron, you can check that video now out early. And if you're not a channel member or a patron, consider becoming one. It's optional and it helps the channel, but that's up to you. Anyways, disengaging shameless YouTuber self-plugging. So after this incident, it's up to Skyfire, Strongarm, Bumblebee, Hot Rod, and Warpath. And again, Warpath in quotation marks because we don't know who this Autobot is. He looks cool, he might get a video someday, but not today. Their mission was to go and retrieve Megatron from the Nazis. God, that's such a weird sentence. As far as we know, the Decepticons of this movie are gonna be Barricade, Starscream, whose role in the war was alluded to back in The Last Night, and the mysterious enemy Seeker that we know nothing about. We honestly don't know much about like the, you know, finer details of the movie. We only have a general rough outline of the events that are gonna take place. But as you guys might have guessed, eventually Megatron gets frozen back into stasis and taken back by the Americans. Bumblebee goes back to serving in World War II and possibly being sent to Vietnam, which... Dude, this writer's room was smoking something, I swear. This is such a weird sentence to say. Bumblebee gets sent to Vietnam. Like, at what point do you realize, yeah, I am writing Despite being the titular character, we don't know much about Skyfire himself, despite the fact that he fought in World War II. He has quite a bit of like images, photographs taken of him on the front lines. He was probably going to be the leader of his small group of Autobots. And I think his role had been pretty similar to Mirage's in Rise of the Beast, in which, you know, yes, he's one of the most relevant characters in the movie, but I wouldn't say he was straight up the main character. Like, that would be Optimus Prime. Maybe that will be the same case in this movie, in which he plays second fiddle to Bumblebee, despite being quite a large Autobot himself. Now, Skyfire and his movie, despite being cut characters and movie respectively, sort of did make an appearance in The Last Night. I think he is the guy in the photograph that we see in World War II and in some of the promotional material like I alluded to earlier. Well, there's nothing concrete that says, yeah, that guy's Skyfire, or he was supposed to be Skyfire. I personally like to think he is. I mean, you know, it's my own headcanon. I'm not saying it's true. Don't like misinterpret that as me saying, oh yeah, that's Skyfire for sure. But I mean, come on, just look at the two. They're pretty much the same thing, just that one is an unfinished reused model, okay? Loosely based on the Skyfire concept art. But they also didn't completely do away with the Skyfire character. Skyfire technically did come back in Rise of the Beast as Stratosphere. As you guys can see here, same colored airplane, same similar giant size more or less. And when you take a close look at them side by side, you can see that the body types are actually very similar. A lot of the concepts for Transformers Knights, Operation Skyfire, and Return of the Gods were combined into one super mega script, which came to be known as the abomination known as The Last Night. And well, we all know how that ended. It did $1 more billion, it was received extremely well critically, and created a new glorious cinematic universe that we're currently living in. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. Quite the opposite actually. So after The Last Night bomb, all the plans to carry on with this cinematic universe for Transformers were deleted. The only things that survived were the Bumblebee movie and currently Transformers 1, which is still in production by the time of this video, which is the fabled Cybertron prequel we heard so much about. So while Skyfire itself was deleted and shelved, a lot of the concepts from the movie seem to be slowly carrying over into the new reboot timeline, and I think Stratosphere is like the reboot version of Skyfire. I'll be honest, as much as Operation Skyfire intrigues me because it's just such a weird concept, like part of me is like super curious as to what was this all about. Like, I want to know the story of all this. Tell me more, Paramount. But the other part of me is also, I don't know, like uninterested on it, because the World War II stuff I've never been a big fan of. I think the World War II toys, at least the ones we got them from Bumblebee and Hardrod, are very ugly and not interesting. The scene in The Last Night where they talk about World War II, like it tried to sound all cool, like kind of reminiscent to the space race in Dark of the Moon, which I think in Dark of the Moon they handled that whole, you know, human Transformers backstory really well. It was really interesting, it was really exciting. In The Last Night, it feels like they just threw a bunch of stuff at me and seeing what sticked. Not only did they mess with the timeline, but it also made things very confusing and very weird. And overall, Transformers in World War II feels like such a weird, bizarre, crack concept. Kind of like a Winnie the Pooh, you know, horror spin-off movie. Well, yes, it does sound interesting at first. The more you think about it, the more you're like, I don't think we should be doing this, you know? Now, not to be totally unfair, I know there's a lot of you guys out there who actually really do like the World War II Transformers stuff. I've seen some really good third-party World War II Transformers figures, and I know there's potential there for some good toys and some good designs. But as for a story, I don't know, like, to me it just feels so weird, to the point I don't see it. I don't feel like this is the right way to go. Skyfire himself does seem like a really cool character, and the idea of him having his own team of Autobots to fight the Decepticons sounds really interesting, and I would really like to see that. Just not set in World War II. Operation Skyfire, both the movie and the character, were one of the writer's room concepts that actually made it the farthest into development. Now that Hasbro's trying to move away from the base stuff and, you know, try and go in its own separate direction, I don't see us finding out the truth about the movie, what was gonna happen, which character's gonna be on it, and the plot anytime soon. Because I feel like Paramount and Hasbro sort of learned from their mistakes and have no interest on pursuing most of the stuff the writer's room came up with. Which is a shame, because I feel like the hard work the artists put on this kind of went to waste. Which admittedly they actually do look really cool. I may not like the concept that much, but the concept art here is amazing and it really leaves a lot to the imagination, which is I think what really good concept art should do. But hey, this got cut for a reason. And while Skyfire and his merry band of Autobots may be lost forever, at least there's still a bit of a chance that we might see Skyfire appear in the Studio Series storyline. After all, his cat model should exist, since these CGI renders of Skyfire had to come up from somewhere, and honestly it wouldn't be that hard for Studio Series to make a toy based out of this Skyfire character. But honestly, I could see Skyfire making it into Studio Series concept, since we have Megatron and Rumble, and I know they did say that they need a cat model of a character in order to be accepted into Studio Series concept. That's not always the case. For Megatron, they only had the CAD model for his road mode, they didn't have anything for his vehicle mode. His vehicle mode had to be made from scratch. So for Skyfire here, a similar thing could happen. They have full body concepts of him, so making a CAD model based off that wouldn't be too difficult. Like the little snippets that we do see of him in The Last Night are anything to go by. Honestly, I think he has a pretty solid chance of being a studio series, but I wouldn't say that with 100% confidence. If I were to like scale that in a percentage, I'll say that he has a run up 75% chance of coming back at least in studio series form. It's not as impossible as some people might like to think. But yeah guys, that is the story of Skyfire, the deleted Autobot from the movie Operation Skyfire, which was also deleted. You know, that is the first. I never covered a character that was exclusively to a Transformers movie that was cut, that had Megatron teaming up with Nazis in it. So this is a first for me. It's bizarre. A lot of the stuff I said in this video feels like a weird dream. It makes me curious as to what they were smoking in the writer's room when coming up with all these crazy ideas. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I might talk more about missing characters from the deleted Transformers Writers Room movies, because we actually do know quite a bit of Autobots and Decepticons that were gonna take part in these movies, before being either deleted forever or reworked to fit the new Transformers movies like Bumblebee, Rise of the Beasts, and now TF1. But only time will tell if we'll ever see Skyfire again. But I wanna hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Skyfire? Would you guys have liked to see his movie? Do you think they did the right thing or the wrong thing deleting that movie? And do you think he'll come back to the movie franchise as himself, or maybe as a retool? Kinda like how I believe that Stratosphere is just Skyfire but reworked for Rise of the Beast. I mean, I think the coincidence between these two are just way too much. But hey, that might be one of those things that just remains a mystery forever. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, as always guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to what the annoying YouTubers that the algorithm likes so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, guys. Anyways guys, before we go, shout out to our super cool incredible Patreon: James Newbold, Crawley666, TF Cypher, D Taylor, Legend of Swoop, King Sparta, Crazy T-Rex, Orina64 Studios, Super Sailor Formers Hedgehog, Xavier the God, Stitch Productions, and Scrub Lordo. And an even bigger shout out to our even bigger Patreons, Jordan the Great and NextNor23, who donated a amount of money. If you guys want to shout out your subs, all you gotta do is donate to my Patreon. I give access to videos early, you can request your own videos, collab with me in some of my videos if you choose to, and of course you get a shout out to your channel. Be sure to check out my Patreon's channels, the links will be in the description down below for you guys to check out. Some of them do Transformers content and some of them do whatever it is they want to do. Thank you all for your support, it helps out the channel a lot, but keep in mind that it's entirely optional because freedom's the right of all sentient beings. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.